there, welcome to my channel. My name is Linda. Today we're going to be running some races to get some crafts done. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started. Today we'll be working on some rustic farmhouse style home decor. Now these ideas came from Pinterest, but of course I'm going to Lindify it and make it my own. So let's get started with project number 1. So I picked up this cutting board at a thrift sale and I brought it home and my husband was like, "What?" He didn't like it, but I love the shape and design of it. And yes, I picked it up for $18, but I just thought it was so different with kind of that side handle. And we're just going to do a simple decoration on the front. I'm going to add a heart, wood heart to it as well. I'm going to use Dixie Belle chalk paint in the color Drop Cloth and Debbie's Design Diary DIY chalk paint and little black dress. And the quick and easy thing I'm going to do just to kind of change this up a little bit is take that Drop Cloth paint, add just like a one coat kind of in the center of it, and I will distress it outside with my electric sander just to really lighten it up because I just wanted a light little background. And then I'm going to use that chalk paint there to paint the heart. I do end up going with the smaller size because this kind of was too big to me, I thought. And then I use my xTool M1 machine, and it's really easy. I just kind of create my projects in my Cricut program, and then I save it as a JPEG. I take a snapshot of it, and then I bring it into the xTool M1 program, and I just kind of go in and edit the word, and I take out all the background of it. I'll show you a little bit here coming up with this one. So I brought it in as a picture, and now I'm just clicking and editing all the white areas. And then I click the trace button. And when I do that, you know, and I take out all the fuzziness and make it smooth, and I pull it down, and now I've got the words nice and easy. So then I arrange them to the size I want according to the way I designed it in Cricut program. So I kind of have to go back and forth to make sure I've got the right size, but nice and easy. And then I come in here and I change it to the parameters I need, the material. Yes, I'm, got it raised, and I come in and I do a 5 and 2 pass on it. Seems to work the best with advice from a friend of mine. And then it just goes to my machine and it starts cutting it out for me. So real fun and nice and easy. And I know I can't get away from the yellow color here, but that's, to protect your eyes. The lid is a yellow color. I'll have the links down below to the xTool M1 machine if you want to check it out. It's a great investment, not too bad of a cost. So here's the smaller size heart on the right side. I haven't distressed anything yet. I will do that in just a minute off camera, like I said earlier. I do have a free printable for you, and I did it a few different ways. Half of this I want to do in vinyl, and then the lower half I want to do in the wood, of course. So what I did is up to the left, I did it where the heart is intact with the whole quote, and you can just print it out onto some cardstock paper and put paper on the front, or however you want to do it, or print it and use carbon paper and trace it and paint it on. And then I did it with the heart more out to the side. If you want the heart, but you don't want it like embedded in part of the quote. Is that understandable? And then I produced a third one without the heart at all. Okay, and if you want to take this like into your electronic cutting machine program and clean out the background like I did, you clean out the center of the letters and all that, you can do that as well. Okay, so like I said, top will be the vinyl, the bottom will be the wood that I cut out with the xTool M1 machine. And whenever I cut out from that, I'm kind of a person, I like to just spray paint it. It's easier, and I usually choose like black or white, easy. So this is flat black spray paint. I'll paint that wood. And so here's my board all distressed up. My heart I distressed up sanding. And what I'm going to do, because outside my words are drying, I trace the heart, and then I come in about a 1/16 of an inch, and I redraw that perimeter pattern here, so that when I cut this out, I see that little bit of paint and wood around the edge of the paper. And you could just totally leave it painted if you want. If you want to cover it with paper, you could totally cover it edge to edge. I just, want to see a little bit of both. Okay? Cut that out, and then you could be done here. But if you're new to my channel, I like to take my papers to my sewing machine, and I sew it, obviously, with my sewing machine. I usually use a size 10 or 11 needle, but right now I've got like a size 14 on there because I've been sewing some fabrics and stuff, but it seems to be working okay. So, and I've just got it on a regular basic stitch, and you can use all polyester, all cotton thread, whatever you want to use. I tend to use polyester thread. And I think I've got it like on a 4.5 for the tension, 4, somewhere between 4 and 5. And I just sew on it like it's regular paper, regular fabric. I go back and forth between paper and fabric. It doesn't dull my needle or anything like that. Then what I do is I take the open end of my scissor blades. I like to scrape along the edges, kind of give it a rustic look and have like a little halo around the paper. It helps up to pop off the wood. I'll use my Beacon Fabri-Tac glue. I use a fabric glue for all my projects, whether I'm gluing paper or gluing fabric, whatever, that's what I like. And while that's setting off drying, I cut out my vinyl in iron-on. And so I'm using my VEVOR heat press machine. I love, 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 love it. I did a video on it not that long ago, but I will have links down below for you for this VEVOR heat press. It is a large size machine, and it's like very, very, very affordable than those name brand ones. I'm having to do it twice here. I usually set it about 250, 25 seconds. Sometimes I have to go twice. This time I have to because the board has some unevenness to it, so I'm kind of having to do a little bit of, maneuvering with the heat press. But once it's on there, and then I just pull off the carrier sheet here, and Bella comes and helps me. The vinyl being heat pressed onto the wood looks like it's just kind of melted into the wood versus just doing it with a regular sticky vinyl on top. And now my paint is dry on my woodwards, of course, and I'm coming in and setting them into the position I want. And yeah, it's real easy. Just take those PDFs. If you want to use carbon paper, would be great. And then you can trace it on and then just paint inside the letters with paint or, paint markers, Sharpie markers, that kind of thing, and get the same process if you don't have access to, electronic cutter or, of course, a laser machine. Now I'm just using super glue here. I go back and forth. Sometimes I use super glue, sometimes I use the Fabri-Tac. Just depends. These words are a little bit smaller, and on the back, some of the shape of the wood is very thin, so sometimes I will go with the super glue because that's a really tiny nozzle to get into those really skinny areas of the wood. But, any type of glue that you feel comfortable with, work it. And then I just kind of take a Q-tip and wipe off the excess, and I will place that one down. And then I will do all the rest of it off camera because it takes a little bit and you can see what I'm doing here. So there's no question about what I do off camera. And then, of course, I will come back on camera for the last little dot over the eye. Perfect. Everything else is into position. But if you kind of wipe off that excess, then less, it still sticks really good, but then less tends to, squeeze out around the wood. And then I'm taking my heart, and I'm going to glue it kind of hanging off the edge of the cutting board. And then it just needs a little bit more. I'm taking some of that black paint and I'm watering it down. I'll take a fan brush and we're going to add some splatters. I went back and forth between some ribbons and some twine, add a little bow on the handle, and I just didn't like them. It just looked too cutesy. So I'm not going to add anything else but the splatter here. So getting my cutting board onto some paper here. So when it splatters everywhere, use a fan brush, dip it into the paint, wipe off the excess, and then I just tap my brush for light little splatters. We'll take a look at the result at the very end of the video. Here's my idea for our project that I found off Pinterest, inspired us to create our cute little cutting board. What do you think? Let's move on with project number 2. Now this project has options for fabric. So let's work on option number 1, of course. So least amount of fabrics as you want. I'm going to do 4 here. I know it still sounds like a lot. And some additional batting as well. But you could do this in just like 2, patterns of fabric if you want. And I do have a free printable for you. Now this stuff here, don't worry about that. We'll look at that in option number 2. But so it's 4 pieces total for both options. Print out your pattern PDF and then cut your pieces out. So you have your main piece, your little, I'm going to call it a tuft, your beak, and your wing. So for the main piece, I've got 1 fabric here. You're going to cut 2. And then for your little tuft on top, your beak, and your heart, you could actually just use 1 fabric. And then you're only working with 2 fabrics if you want. You don't need batting, but you can add batting. Lots of variations here as Bella helps us once again. But I chose to use like a, red for the top for the little tuft. So I cut out 2 pieces in that. And then for the wing, I cut out some, quilting material I got at Joann's. And then the beak has a couple of pieces there as well. Now for the wing, I'm using 2 pieces of batting per wing. And then for the tuft, I've got 2 pieces there. And then for the body, 2 pieces. The beak has nothing. So if you're a gluer, a Fabri-Tac, or a hot glue, basically where I sew, you glue, but I'll still show you gluing it together, okay? It's basically the same process, gluing or sewing. So if you're using batting, go ahead and glue your batting to your wing pieces. And I'm placing my wing because there's like a fat part and a skinny part, with the wing fat part down and a point toward the head. And then you can go ahead and glue your batting onto your bird pieces if you want, and then glue your wings down to both sides. Okay, again, the point is toward the head, and then the fat part is I've got downward, but you know, you can do it how you want it. Of course, if you're sewers, we're going to come in and I'm just sewing to each side separately, the wing with the 2 pieces of batting on each side of our bird, okay? Perfect. Here they are both done. Got wings, points at the beak, little rounded part down. Now you could add some buttons here, little round buttons. I chose to use some little hearts here. I did it with my xTool M1 machine, but you can buy hearts anywhere, and I'm just using my crocodile tool to punch some holes in it to make it look like buttons. Nice and easy. But round buttons would be cute too, shape buttons, whatever. I'm just going to use some crochet thread I get from Walmart. You get a great big spool of it for a couple, $2, $3. I like to use it, especially with the holes that we put in our hearts here, because they're a little bit bigger holes and I want to fill them up more. But, you know, if you're a gluer and you like to hand sew, you could totally hand sew your buttons on. If you don't want any sewing at all, glue your buttons on, and you can add or not add thread through the center of your buttons before you glue those on. All right, so we get this one finished off. We'll go to the second one. I've got, you know, a little bit ahead here because we're already seeing the process. Get it on the back, make a little loop, tie it off, cut off the excess. And now we've got our 2 pieces, all right? So let's get our beak on. If you are a gluer, it's time to add your beak pieces, okay? You just glue one on one side, and you come over here and glue one on the other side, and then we'll close it up here. All right, once you get your pieces on, you're going to glue right around the edge between the 2 fabrics and right close to the beak, about 3 fingers, couple inches. Leave that open. Don't glue there yet. We'll glue that closed later, okay? If we're sewers, I'm going to put my 2 body pieces together and I'm going to sew my beak on at the same time through both pieces, okay? So I've got both pieces, wrong sides together. I've got my beak on one side, my beak on the other, and I just sewed it through just like that. Right now I'm going to come around and sew around my little chicken, and I'm going to come right up against that beak to sew upward to the edge of the chicken. Again, I'm leaving, you know, those couple of inches open so we can stuff our chicken. All right, so just follow it along the edge. I'm probably doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I tend to find I do like 1/4 inch a lot. Sometimes here as I'm going around the chicken, I'm getting a little bit more of a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I'm not trying to be neat. You can do whatever seam allowance you want. Those are your sewers. Here I'm coming right up against the edge of that beak, little reverse stitch, and then I've got my little opening here. Now all of us are on the same page, both gluers and sewers. Go ahead and stuff your chicken. I like to do just a tiny bit of stuffing there and get it into the point of that little, you know, tail, and then I'll, of course, stuff the rest of the chicken more fat. But yeah, when I'm sewing, sometimes I get a 1/4 inch, it expands to a 1/2 inch, back down to a 1/4 inch. When I'm doing fun little country rustic things like this, I don't really try to be real straight with my stitching. I just think it adds more fun personality. So once our chicken is stuffed, we're going to go into some eyes. I'm going to come over about a 1/4 inch from the beak and maybe about a 1/2 inch down for eye placement. Lots of options. You can just do a Sharpie marker and draw a little eye. You can use some black crochet thread, do a little French knot if you want to do that, or just one straight stitch for an eye. I found these beads at our Walmart. I've been looking for round black beads. I didn't want to have to order, and we finally got some in. All these sizes come with it. It was under $4. I'm going to use this little second size up, and if you're a gluer and want to use beads, just glue your beads on. I'm going to use regular needle and thread here, and what I'm going to do is come down through that opening again about a 1/4 inch out from the beak, about a 1/2 inch from the top, come inside there and bring up my needle in and out through the outside and add the bead. And then I'm going to come back through it's like right next to where the stitch came out originally. I'm going to go right there through the stuffing straight to the back side. And I'm going to pull it a little bit tight so you get a little bit of kind of that inward little kind of quilted look, I guess you could say. And then I'm going to add the other bead. And then I'm going to come back through right next to it into the inside here. Pull it a little bit taut so I get that little bit of a quilted stitch. And then I'm just going to come in because I use batting, and I'm going to go through the batting only, and I'm just going to make a little stitch and tie it off. Okay? Now we're going to move into our tuft part, or is it a crown? Somebody tell me what this is. I don't know. I'm going to call it a tuft. It's kind of got a fat end and a skinny end. I'm going to put the fat end toward the beak, but you do however you want. If you're a gluer, you just glue your opening closed and then glue your tuft on either side of your chicken and glue it all together, and it's done. If you're a sewer, about a 1/2 inch up, I'm going to come around and just sew around the curvature of the heart, leaving the bottom part open. Okay, this is what it looks like. I did it off camera. As you can see, I've got a little 1/2 inch there. And off camera, I'm going to go ahead and sew that opening closed. You sewers know how to do it. And then I'm going to add a little glue here with that opening of the heart. And then both sides of the chicken, glued it on so it holds it in place. And then I'll come in with my sewing machine and sew straight across there to get that tuft on. Okay, hopefully that's understandable. And then that's what this looks like. And our little chicken's all sewed together. So cute. And then with this chicken, I thought it'd be cute to put a little wire hanger on it. So I've just got a long piece of wire here. I don't know, 15, 16 inches. I'm going to take the center of it and wrap it around a large handled paintbrush there to give it some squiggles there. And then I'm going to take the big kind of like upholstery needle and kind of poke a hole with it so I can get my wire through both, front and back of our little chicken. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. Poke that hole and get the wire right through the fabric of the chicken. And then I'll bring both pieces up and then kind of wrap it around the main part of the little, hanger there. And then you're going to cut off any excess that you might have. And then we have a cute little hanging chicken. Now, I've made other chickens, of course. There's lots of options whether you want to hang the chicken or not hang the chicken. Really cute. You can make them as bowl fillers, garlands, anything like that. So now let's work on option number 2. So everything is the same, except now we're using 3 colors on our bird. We want it to look like maybe a patchwork bird. I've got the same wings. I've got 2 pieces of batting for each of it. I've got, the beak, again, is 2 pieces using the same colors as the first bird. Our little tuft, I've got 2 pieces and 2 pieces of batting. But for the main bird, the first color is 2 3x3 squares. The second color is 2 4 1/4 inch long by 3 inch tall squares. And the third color is 5 1/4 inch long by 3 inch tall squares. All right, so you're going to take a 3x3 and a 4 1/4 by 3. You're going to put right sides together, and you're going to glue it or sew it down that 3 inch side. Here's what mine looks like sewn. Perfect. Now we got a nice one long piece here. And then you're going to take the 5 1/4 inch and you're going to put it right at the long edge of the 2 pieces you just sewed or glued together. And you're going to have a little outer edge there, like a 1/2 inch of fabric on either side of that, and glue or sew it together. Okay, so there's this, and then you're going to do the same thing with the other side. Perfect. And I'm going to take a little iron, just kind of mini iron here, and just kind of iron it really quick, get it nice and flat. Okay, and then you're going to put wrong sides together, both pieces, and you're going to put your pattern on it. It's just going to fit edge to edge. And then, of course, pin it and cut out your birds. I love this look, especially I actually want to do garland with it, so it looks really cute. And even though I only use 3 fabrics, I arranged them differently on each bird, so each bird looks a little different, but it's all the same color scheme. Here's my 2 pieces cut, everything ready, and then, of course, I have 2 pieces of batting for my bird. We'll just kind of jump ahead a little bit because the process is the same, but I wanted to show you, here I am doing it. I am sewing the wings on to the bird. Of course, if you're a gluer, you're gluing it just like we did the last one, but I just kind of want to go through this part really quick. And then here I am sewing the beak on both sides. Cute little beak. I just love these little birds. I actually have an idea for, I made a gihugic bird pattern. So we'll see. I think it's going to be fun. All right, now I'm sewing the chicken together all the way around here, around the edges. And now I've got it stuffed, and I'm coming in, of course, and adding my cute little beads for eyes. And then, of course, I'll sew it closed. I'm adding my tuft on top. I glued into position first, obviously, so it holds, and then I sew that on. And then that makes this one done. And as if by magic, I have 5 cute little chickens ready. So I'm going to show you the world's easiest garland here. Easy, easy. I'm going to start out with these small clothespins. You actually get them in the office section at Walmart. I like them because they're short and fat. I'm going to use some pom-pom trim from Hobby Lobby, some macrame cord from Dollar Tree, and I start out with about 60 inches, I think, of the macrame cord. We're going to make one loop on each end. The pom-pom trim doesn't go right to the edge. I like it that way. I use about 7 inches past the end of my pom-pom trim. I fold it back on itself about, couple inches in toward the pom-pom trim, and I wrap the macrame cord around that pom-pom trim. You can see that kind of sticking out there, and then pull that loop through and tie it into a knot, and that's going to hold that pom-pom trim into place, and I've got both ends ready to go. I've already got my clips into place. I just kind of evenly measured my cute little chickens on there, and then you just clip them on. And they hold really well without glue, but you, of course, could glue them on. But if you decided this year I want a cute garland, but next year I want to do this bowl filler, you got options if you don't glue it on there. And I'll show you kind of how they look as bowl filler and garland, at the end results, just so you can get a look at that. And then here was my inspiration from Pinterest. What do you think? How do you think ours turned out? So I hope you like both of these projects. Leave me a comment down below and let me know which one was your favorite. And let me know if you liked the original better, or how the Pinterest idea, or how we kind of lindified it up just a little bit. Fun ideas. Anyway, please give this video a thumbs up. It helps my channel to grow. And if you walked in here for the first time, you're just checking things out, you're digging what you saw, make sure before you click off, you hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on another video from me. As usual, before I go, I'm going to leave you with one final thought. Often you may find yourself fixating on hurtful words that someone said to you. These words walk beside you and they talk to you, constantly reminding you of feelings of inadequacy. They also bring up anger and resentment toward the one who said them to you in the first place. I can't do that. My father told me I'd never be good enough. I can't live a happy life. My ex told me I'd never amount to anything. I hate how I look because a stranger said I was fat and made fun of me. Words like these have corkscrewed their way into the deepest recess of your thoughts, and no matter how hard you try, you can't seem to unwind them out. Honestly, the words may never be forgotten, but the good news is you can learn to live with them. Not with judgment or anger, but with the very grace of God. You need to let go of whoever wronged you, set boundaries in your mind to allow feelings of forgiveness, and accept that these words do not control you, nor do they claim who you are. When you forgive, when you release the hurt, God's river of grace will flow over you and permeate your mind and allow your heart to heal. It's a daily decision to let this go, but the time to start is now. It's not a human's perspective of how you look, act, or feel that should make you whole. The life you live should be determined by the way God sees you. God created you in His image, and His image is something we've imagined to be beautiful and beyond comprehension. So as He created you with all the love and joy in His heart, nothing less than His ideal went into your body and soul. God sees you as precious and perfect in His sight, just as if you were a parent, the first time you held your child, and you looked in his or her eyes, that love you felt and couldn't explain, that overwhelming feeling that made you want to cry with joy and excitement. This is exactly what God felt for you when He created you, and still feels for you this very moment. This type of love never goes away. In Jeremiah 31:3, book of Jeremiah in the Bible, chapter 31 and verse 3, God said, "Yes, I have loved you with an everlasting love. I have drawn you with unfailing kindness." So with every step you take and with every breath you breathe, this is what you focus on. This is how you heal. Each time those negative words that someone spoke over you rise up and bring the pain, you make a conscious decision to let them go and allow God's everlasting love and unfailing kindness give you thoughts of confidence and strength. With God, you will always be beautiful and you will always be accepted, because these are just a couple of the many attributes that He created you with. And for that, you will always be loved. And I say these things to you because these things have been said to me, and daily, I have to allow God's grace to bring me peace through them. I have forgiven my person. I have set my boundaries. But each day I move forward with God and I let myself know that I am loved and that my worth and my value comes through God Himself, not through what someone else has said about me. With that said, I thank you for sharing your time with me, and I'll talk with you again soon. Bye.